fantastical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL network.
Yes, that is right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday Night Network's Hot Take Show for the Pedro Pascal and Coldplay episode of Saturday Night Live. My name is John from the SNN. So pumped to be with you to wrap up this run of some really great episodes of Saturday Night Live. I feel like we got everything you could possibly see from the show over the last 3 weeks, and I'm so thankful for it because what a great start to 2023. Really looking forward to what we're going to get the rest of this year, and I'm very excited to get to talk about this show with two of my favorite guests we have here on the SNN joining us for the first time this year. And let me bring in first my man Andrew Dick. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well. It feels like it's been so long. I know it was here in December, but you know, I don't know. It feels like it's been so long. I'm so amped up to get into this.
Well,
it's been like 4 episodes. I haven't been able to talk about them.
Okay, well, we're going to get your thoughts throughout the night, of course. You in the chat as well. Make sure to leave us your thoughts. So happy you're staying up with us. And another person who I'm very thankful to be staying up with us is Amanda Mitchell. So Amanda, how are you?
I stayed out late last night, so my body clock is turned around. So this is perfect for me right now. I am thrilled to be here. I'm always happy to be here. Happy 2023. I'm excited. It's gonna be good. This is a nice
Amanda, well,
episode.
fill us in on what's your hot take show prep? Like, what do you do the night before to get ready for the hot take show?
Oh, it was my friend's birthday, so I just went out and I was out till like 4 a.m.
Okay, good practice. Good practice.
I did it like an actual SNL cast member. You know, I went out crazy the night before a show and then was definitely prepared and ready mentally for this. I'm really excited though. It's great.
My prep
Right, well,
is I work 13 hours on Saturday and then I get home and basically have enough time to eat and watch the show.
Okay, well, I am very prepared to talk about Pedro Pascal and Coldplay's episode of Saturday Night Live. So let's dive. Okay, well, I'm proud of you, Andrew. Working 13 hours, you're the man. Let's get into the episode.
Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, thank you for your service. Let's get into the episode and talk through our hot takes or headlines from the night. So, Andrew Dick, like you said, it's been 4 episodes since we got to hear your thoughts on the show. So where is your head at about Saturday Night Live, especially coming out of a night like tonight?
Ooh, I really think we're in a solid place right now. It depends on if you want to extend it back to Chappelle. You know, some people, it's a divisive episode, but I know people like that episode as well. But I think if you factor in just like December up through January, like it's been a pretty strong run. I mean, you could either say like 5 out of 6 or 6 out of, it's like it's been pretty consistent for the first time. And I feel like many years, at least for me. So like I'm really feeling pretty jazzed about the show right now. Like it's just like I can tune in, I could work a 13-hour day and tune in and have fun, know that I'm gonna have some fun. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, so what's interesting about that is like my hot take last week was, hey, we're on at least like a 5-episode hot streak. And you're right. I mean, I like the Chappelle episode personally as far as the episode was concerned. But yeah, that was definitely controversial or polarizing. But, I feel like it's about a 5 or 6 episode streak. And then coming into tonight, it's like, okay, would the hot streak continue? And I'll give you my answer right after we get Amanda's hot take for the night. So Amanda, what is your hot take or headline coming out of this episode?
Okay, my headline is the writing here wasn't strong, but the cast hasn't had this much fun together, all together as a like that's the hot streak that we're on. Is like this is a group of people who are all working together as a symbiotic being to create a machine, and they're having so much fun doing this. Like you can tell these are all people enjoying their jobs. And like that, there was moments I was like in this episode, I was like, I don't know what the through line premise of this, where the real joke is, but I'm laughing because it's absurd and I get it. And I don't think the writing was as strong as especially as like the Aubrey Plaza episode or as last week. Especially with like Michael B. Jordan's monologue last week is still hit well. But in general, I think this was a fun, enjoyable episode of television with hosted by somebody people were excited to see host, and people enjoying their jobs and doing it to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it. I mean, I think that the cast, it feels lighter, not to say badly about any of the people that have left, but I really feel like we're at a point now where we can get episodes like tonight, which are not the best written episodes of the season, but they can feel really fun because the cast seems to be enjoying themselves so much more.
Yeah.
And they're in performances, like they're really trying and putting in efforts. And I think, Andrew, we talked about this a lot, throughout the season, where we did point counterpoint or some of the episodes, which was like, we really feel like the cast, or at least some of them, bring a lot of energy to their performances so that the performance is almost better than the concept itself. And I feel like is across the board now. Like, now that we've lost a lot of these longtime cast members, I feel like the cast is so cohesive with each other that they're like, it really feels like a team. And I really felt like it wasn't that way prior to this, where you had, like, let's be real. I mean, there were so many years where we just kept saying, well, like, this person can't succeed because there's somebody ahead of them who's been on the show for 10 years. And now they don't have that anymore. It feels like everybody sort of has the freedom to do what they wish. And that is fun for me to get to watch. Do you agree, Andrew?
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, I feel like the longest tenured people at the show right now don't feel like they're, eating up a lot of screen time or just show time with like sketches, like a Kate and 80 sketch. It would be just them, and that'd be the sketch. Now you just get a lot more ensemble pieces, and I think we're really back into just a performance driven era of the show, and I feel like the writing is, I don't know, I actually felt like there was a couple pretty decent barbs in this episode, so I feel like the writing is actually slowly kind of meeting the energy that the cast is putting over. But yeah, as still, like, with a huge cast, still it doesn't feel that way, and it doesn't feel as like Dismukes. I don't think he was in this episode, but it didn't feel like, oh god, it's like, well, that's, oh boy, it's like he had a really strong episode last week, so it's like it's hard to get too in your feels about it, and so yeah, I just really think they're clicking pretty hard right now, and I'm really loving it.
For sure. And my B plot, by the way, like my second headline for what I came out of this night with, was I was watching Saturday Night Live tonight, and I had the most interesting experience, which was like, I don't know who SNL is going to pair together in sketches anymore. Like, you're talking about Kate and 80. Like, I'm watching a sketch, and I actually don't know, like, when I see one person in a sketch, who the next person is going to come out and be. And that was something that I felt for so many years, especially covering the show the last 2.5 years, that I felt like, okay, as soon as I saw this person, I know, like, the next natural through line of the sketch. And I don't feel that way anymore. Like, especially now, like Devin and JAJ coming out together. Like, we'll talk about that. Like that, that's the type of thing that I think is really cool. So let's dive in to the sketches tonight, because I know we're all dying to talk about them. So the way the show works, obviously, is you write your thoughts in the chat. We bring them up on screen as we go through everything with our panelists. And let's jump into our cold open tonight, which is a Katie Tour Reports cold open from MSNBC, where Chloe is playing Katie. And we are talking all about the biggest story of the week, was that a Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the Carolina coast today. The Chinese say it was meant for weather research or just a passenger thing, but the U.S. knows better, and Biden ordered it down. And basically, as Bowen said, the balloon is Joe's Osama. So we get Keenan as General William Hamilton, and Bowen as he's used to playing objects. So Bowen is obviously going to be the balloon that's shot down, and that is what we get tonight. So Andrew, how do you feel about tonight's cold open?
Not bad. It did kind of remind me, as I was watching it, especially when we got to Bowen, I was like, I don't know, was this something that they planned for update that they then twisted into the cold open somehow? Just because it did remind me of the Bowen as object update pieces. It was fine. You know, it was short. It was 5 minutes. It was topical, and got a couple good jokes in. And I liked the concept. It was a fun, lighthearted, generally, you know, with what's going on, concept going on. And so, you know, I mean, beyond the Joe's Osama, I'm not sure I'm going to remember too many other lines from it. But as a means of getting into the show, as a cold open, you know, a 5-minute burst of energy into you know, live from New York, I think it served its purpose pretty well.
Amanda, I think this was pretty good. I mean, I was like, you know, as Andrew said, served the purpose. Really felt like they were going to hit all the balloon jokes that had to be hit tonight. So there wasn't anything spectacular per se, but I did think it was pretty tight compared to some of the other cold opens that we've seen recently. What were your thoughts on the cold open?
I mean, I love it because I genuinely don't think. I mean, I had no idea the Chinese balloon was shot down until I saw this. So it's like if SNL's breaking news.
I only learned about this today. So
yeah,
like,
I had heard things about it earlier, like, but like I was like, oh, rip to the balloon. But like I think it was fine. You know, we got a nice little impression right at the top. I think they absolutely wrote this in 45 minutes on their dinner break because they were like, I think it was there. And I mean, yeah, Bowen as Balloon is naturally just a through line. So I'm glad they did it. I wasn't mad about it. And if it had gone on, I think Keenan, if that had gone on a little bit longer, we would have been like, okay, we get it. Like we got all your cute little balloon jokes, and now we're gonna get Bowen as the, you know, the omniscient observer character, like talking about, or you know, human culture.
I'm glad we went to Bowen and stayed with Bowen and ended it there, like not back to Chloe and Keenan and all that. Yeah.
Well, I think if this was like last year or the year before, I think what we would have gotten was like open on the Oval Office where Biden is deciding whether he should shoot down the balloon or not. And it's a lot of jokes about the decision of whether it's right
and then
to
Tom
shoot down
Brady's
the
there.
balloon.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like
throw the ideas at the wall.
Yeah, like
right, and that's the major difference between what I think is like really strong political. I'm not saying this is an amazing cold open, but I'm saying like the stronger political take perhaps is like actually going into the situation where the thing is happening versus like the decision making or discussion about the situation. And I think that we've seen a lot of that versus the actual here's the balloon. So yeah, again, what for me wasn't amazing, but I'm like, I'll take it. I mean, like I said, the cold opens have been a problem for me for over a couple of years now, and this is a major improvement. So I'm okay with it. All right, let's talk about the man, Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, who is here, better known for the lead role on The Last of Us, the biggest show on television right now. I mean, we talked about this at the end of last week throughout our coverage, which was like, when was the last time that SNL was able to get like the biggest star on television right now on the show to host the show? Like, that's crazy. So like they did that. He has 2 of the biggest shows. He was in Game of Thrones. I mean, like he just has a crazy TV career. So it's amazing that they got him on the show tonight. And he comes out and talks a little bit about kids not recognizing him from the Mandalorian because of his mask. And then really the fun for me was when he talks about being born in Chile and having 34 first cousins and all of that stuff. So there was some good there. Amanda, how do you feel about tonight's monologue?
I mean, it was a monologue. I got all the jokes I expected to. I was like, it's going to be a Mandalorian mask reference. It's going to be something about Chile. And I loved it. I thought also the women in the audience tonight were so openly thirsting on a level. I was like, y'all can't be quiet back there. Like they wanted to make sure he felt the love in that room. And I think he did. I think it was, I think he's so personable. And I think he sometimes monologues SNL can like the opening monologue take a personal person and like really water it down. And he really kept every single of one of these of the emotions in it. He was locked in. And I think I was very impressed and very touched. And I thought it was great. So yeah.
Andrew, how do you like Purple Pedro Pascal in the monologue?
Ooh,
Oh yeah, and also the
2
shirt
weeks
was
in
giving.
a row. Yeah, 2 weeks in a row with our host dropping in with a nice plum color outfit that is quite nice. I love that. Yeah, I liked that we have because kind of forgetting what Michael's monologue was, but he had people come out, right? There was interruptions.
I don't think
Right?
so. No, last
That's
week for Michael
my
B. Jordan.
No.
No, no.
Okay, I don't know what the hell I'm talking. I know that Aubrey did. I don't know.
Yeah.
This felt like it
Yeah,
had got back.
Aubrey went backstage with Amy Poehler and all that stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe I'm more thinking about that. But yeah, I just like that we're still keeping it nice, clean, and simple with these monologues. You know, I gotta say,
Oh, you're so right. By the way, yes, I apologize. Thank you, Matt, in the chat. Yeah, Michael had interruptions with people flirting with him from the cast. Yes, yes. Been a long day.
yeah. So there you go. There you go.
I worked 13 hours today.
My brain is just flat.
So, you know, I do like, you know, that we have gone back again. You know, I this is all I want the monologues to be. Is just this is you know, just the host comes out, establishes their energy, talks about some of the stuff they've done, you know, talks about themselves. Him getting like honestly choked up at the end was very touching. And you know, my whole experience with Pedro, like, I don't watch a lot of TV. I haven't seen The Mandalorian. I haven't seen this, that, and the other. But I have seen clips of him, and he's super charming. And so I was very excited for this, just because I've already seen how personable and instantly, you know, enjoyable this guy is. And I think this monologue, you know, completely holds that up. Of like, yeah, no, this guy's is great, you know. So I think this establishes his energy. Yeah, very yes. So I liked it. I liked it. It was a pretty good start to the show so far.
Yeah. And then we get into our first sketch of the night, which is the Big Hollywood Quiz, written by Tucker Gates and Sublet. And here we go with Bowen as Jack, who is the host of a Jeopardy-style game show where we have Pedro, Ego, and Chloe as the three contestants. And essentially the game of the sketch is that these contestants, as you would on any Jeopardy or Hollywood quiz-style show, is they know a lot of pop culture information about things that have happened in previous decades. But when they get to the category of the 2020s or any question to do with the 2020s, they don't know anything. And I believe what the concept or the message behind the sketches is just that pop culture is so dissimulated at this point that people don't know as much. Did I get that right, Andrew? How do you enjoy the sketch?
I loved this because this hit me right in the heart there, because yeah, I feel like pop culture, there's too much going on. And so when we finally like hit the, you know, this is the most popular Netflix show, Ginny, and I was like,
Juice?
I don't know. I really don't know. And so when it was like Ginny and Juice, like, you know, and so I really thought that this had, you know, maybe not something to say. Like, I don't think it really, you know, kind of said much about it, but it really did focus on the fact that like we have moved past, you know, the sort of cultural osmosis that we all used to have kind of in the 90s and early 2000s, where, you know, even if you weren't watching something, you were vaguely aware of it at least. And I feel that's so lost nowadays. Like, you really truly don't even know the most popular show on Netflix. And so, yeah, I thought this one hit pretty hard because, yeah, all the answers, like, I don't know this. I honestly don't. So, yeah, worked for me. Enjoyed it. And especially after, like, you know, it's like I saw, game show after the monologue. How many episodes have opened like this? But once we got there, I was like, okay, I'm fine with this.
Amanda, you know, when Bowen was taking a shot at Chloe for being a podcaster, I was like, hey, you don't go there. But that wasn't it. And I think that the concept here was really strong in terms of what they were trying to say. But for you, was the execution there? Did it match up to the concept?
I think it had two different concepts. I think it had the like, oh, we're so knowledgeable about our old Hollywood knowledge, like we don't need to know modern pop culture. Like that was the concept. And the second one was like, no, there's just so much content with all these famous people that we all know that there's no way to keep it straight. Like there were two, and I think halfway through the sketch it pivoted, and I was like, I liked the second one as a second option, because it's true and that's funny, and we're all overwhelmed, and like, you know, Harrison Ford is on an Apple TV show, and yeah, Julia Roberts is on Stars. Like what is happening with the world, you know, everything is melting. But like so I think thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, so I think that in that concept there, I wish it was a little tighter, and I wish it was a little, but I thought it was by the end great. I mean, I thought Chloe doing a Karina Longworth impression, I think it could have been a little tighter, because Karina Longworth even kind of does like an old 1950s American Masters of Sex type of dialect when she speaks, and that's like so a big part of You Must Remember This. But that's my opinion. I think this was fine. Again, it started somewhere and it ended up somewhere else, and I wish it had, and where it ended up is where it started, you know. And
you didn't enjoy the journey. You didn't want it to end on a go from A to C.
I didn't think the A to C was clear. I think I think there was an A and there was an 8.5, and then it kind of like,
yeah,
you
fair
know,
enough. It could have been a little
Jeremy
bit clearer.
Bearmead its way there. So
fair enough.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, I think that like when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is so true, because, you know, things are popping up all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, now I have to watch The Last of Us. I'm like, I don't even like zombie shows, but like, I feel like I have to watch it to,
you
or
don't,
like apocalyptic
John. You don't
pandemic
have to.
show. No, I watched 3 episodes of The Last of Us on 2x speed this week to just catch up in time for Pedro Pascal hosting Saturday Night Live. Like, I just feel like this is what I have to do now. And that's the life that's been chosen for me. So
that is distressing.
It's an interesting take. Yeah,
exactly, John.
I mean, okay, I don't actually, John, I don't disagree about feeling this weird cultural obligation to like consume media because everyone else is talking about it, and in order to feel informed and feel relevant, like in order to be able to like communicate with other people, 100%. But that's also my job, so I have to do these things. Sort of my job. And so like it's like it really depends on your career. I genuinely think so. I think
no, I'm just gonna be a weirdo.
Yeah. And some people just don't want to, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, speaking of The Last of Us, let's talk about this new video game series Pre-Tape, which was a take on the fact that The Last of Us is probably the first successful adaptation of a video game turning into a successful TV show or movie potentially. I guess I'll talk about TV shows. So like, you know, in this case, what they're going to do is they're going to take all of the Mario series, which SNL has done a lot with Mario, I think, over the years. But this was an interesting take where it was basically like a very dark version of Mario and the Kingdom, where we get Heidi, and then we get Pedro as Mario, Chloe as Peach, Keenan as Bowser, Mikey as Luigi, Bowen as Yoshi, and Marcelo as Toad, who are both bisexuals. They had to put that in there. But and then there's a lot of like Mario Kart esque stuff, and it's supposed to be just a very dark take on the Mario universe. So Amanda, how do you feel about this pre-tape?
I knew it was coming. I was just wondering what it was going to be. I thought it was Candyland at first, and my hopes went like through the roof. And then I thought, because I saw I heard Rainbow Road, and I was like, admittedly, I walked into the room to do something else for half a second. I like looked away, and I was like, oh, Candyland, duh. And then it was Mario Kart, and I was like, that makes so much more sense. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was very clearly like something they were going to do. They had to do. I think it was beautifully shot. I think the aesthetic of it all was so well done. Like, I think they started thinking about this weeks when they first heard Pedro was coming. They were like, well, what are we doing? Because we got to be prepared. And I think just in general, I thought it was really funny and tight, you know, not too long. I think, I mean, just again, a little heavy-handed. When did they do the Sesame Street one? Was it Sesame
So that I
Street?
just brought up on
that
screen. Yeah, Casey was talking about that in
yeah.
chat. That was the
Mhm.
David Harbour one.
Right.
Yes,
S45.
yeah, like it was in the same vein of that, and I mean, I think that was one of the best versions of this they've done. So, I liked it. Yeah.
Andrew, how do you feel about it?
On a production level, I thought it was wildly impressive. You know, and just in weeks where we're talking about, you know, the post-production and editing teams trying to unionize for the show, you throw this on air and you say you can't work with these people. Like, look at this is incredible. Now on the page, it was okay. I got a couple laughs. I really thought that the flash and just how impressive it was really sold it. But, you know, if we're all going to bring up Grouch and stuff, like, I felt like Grouch really had it just, the smashing of the two things together worked so much better, because this connection of The Last of Us and Mario Kart, and like mostly Mario Kart, but then also just other Mario things, like, it just didn't really fit together as well. It wasn't as snug, but boy, howdy, was it impressive. And so just, you know, sign that contract. This is what I say.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely second that, and totally sign the contract and sign the petition that's been out there, that put out by the film unit. But yeah, I mean, look, for me, this was just okay. I think there was a lot of Mario style jokes in here, like about the red shell, like that. You know, that gave me
Yeah,
like a little bit of a chuckle.
Marcelo eating it to the red shell.
Yeah,
that did get
that
a
was
laugh, yeah.
that was a good laugh or whatever. But there was no like specific plot line here of the pre-tape that I really felt like it was anything. Like, this was sort of just like we're going to present to you what the world looks like, and that's it. Like, there's no story of the pre-tape, and that I think probably limited its potential as a pre-tape. But as far as my notes are concerned, I mean, I was looking at this, I'm like, this was just beautiful. So stunning job by the film unit on.
And this is
one.
this is an Emmy submission pre-tape. Like, this is just, it's like, it doesn't matter how it's written, because it's going to win production Emmys up and down.
Yeah. It's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen on the show.
I
Just
100%
like,
agree.
How you know, how do they do that? So yeah,
sign the contract.
Yeah, I will also say an interesting aspect of what we got tonight was that there was only 2 pre-tapes. Usually there are 3 in a given week. I mean, in recent times, there was no pre-tapes that were cut for time or cut at dress. So there was only 2 prepared for this week, which could mean either one of 2 things. One is that they took some extra time or needed extra hands at potentially producing a pre-tape like this, and which is why it looks so beautiful. Or perhaps, given everything that's going on, they felt like lightening the load on the pre-tapes this week. So I just thought that was an interesting aspect to think about and talk about.
Yeah, I do wonder if Illumination had some sort of helping hand in this, because it's like, how do they, you know, the drafting all of that background art is like, cripes, like, what?
Yeah.
How? So yeah,
crazy. All right, next up, we got Waking Up. This is a Sublette and Gates sketch where Bowen is Dr. Jim, I believe, and Heidi is the wife of Pedro, Charlie, who just woke up from a coma. Keenan is there as well, and Sarah is his sister. And he got hit by a Party City truck. He's been in a coma, but this time he woke up with a weird LA accent and wondering why he's wearing paper. He's all confused, talking his accent. And there's a lot of, we're still married, not today. Let's just put a pin in that for a little bit. And Pedro was having the time of his life with this one. He was just laughing so hard. So, for this one, Andrew, would love to know what you thought of Waking Up.
I was baffled. Obviously Pedro loved this one, and that's how I can only assume that's the only way this got through, was because for some reason he just loved this one. Nothing for me. I was so confused. It's like, what? We have gone from one of the most impressive pre-tapes I've ever seen to the most SNL ass nonsense on my screen, and I was like, I don't even know what to do with this whiplash. And so it was the clear low light of the night for me, and so I don't want to go into it too further. Some people liked it. So it missed so hard for me. I could not understand what I was supposed to latch onto at the Bill Burr thing kind of made me laugh, but like as that being like the big crescendo, like, okay, all right, fair enough.
Amanda, are you on the opposite side or do you agree with Andrew here?
Okay, this was one of the dumbest things I have ever seen with my two very non-good seeing eyeballs. I'm not gonna say it was. I genuinely can't tell you if it was good or if it was bad. I can't because I was too baffled just because I was like, what? It felt like an AI bot wrote it.
Yeah, like a chat GPT.
This was forever Seinfeld as a sketch.
Yes, it felt like it felt just like they asked an AI bot to write an SNL sketch, and this is what came out. And Pedro Pascal was like, "I love it. I need it." And again, this is a case of a sketch that it could have bombed so hard, and the only reason it didn't is because of Pedro Pascal's performance. He was committed with this whole chest. Whatever it is, he was just having fun. Like he's just a man who I enjoy, like because most of his other work is so dark and depressing, and so when he gets to do like the light and fun stuff, he's really committed and really into it. And this was a man who just has never been handed anything like this in his entire career and said, let's go. I'm not putting a pin in this. I'm taking it. I thought, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. I still am in shock of what I witnessed, but it was pure silliness in a way we rarely see on this show. It was silliness for just silliness' sake. It's not silliness to just like, be a little cheeky or whatever.
Yeah, I wrote down to do for the roundtable on Mondays. You do a bit. We'll go to Chat GPT. We're going to ask them to write a hospital sketch with host Pedro Pascal. We'll see how close we get. So we'll do that. We'll do that on Monday. But for this waking up sketch, for me, I totally agree. I mean, I just thought this is the dumbest thing, and I'm watching this the whole time, thinking to myself, or is this the smartest thing? Because is it possible that he is just pretending like he doesn't know his wife because he's trying to get out of this marriage? So he woke up from the coma with pretending to have an accent and be a totally different personality, so that he's pretending to get and this is whole like a grand scheme.
John, you've already put you put more thought into it than the people that wrote it.
But that's what I'm saying. I thought at the end he was going to reveal
psychological theory over here.
Am I crazy? Like I really thought that.
Well,
this
yeah,
was...
obviously, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
More, and we got nothing.
So we're just like, wait, what was happening? Was it a head game? Was he playing games?
I thought he was trying to manipulate his wife and his sister, but the whole time he just woke up with an LA accent. Like, what the hell was that?
That was it. That's all he wanted to do.
Yeah. Yes. I see the chat. I was waiting for the plot. So okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I'm glad they had fun. So we got the announcement, big announcement, as we teased it a little bit this week. 5-timer coming up on February 25th. It'll be a lot of fun. Woody Harrelson, another 5-timer coming up. Jack White. So that'll be very fun. We will get into all of. Yeah, going to be amazing. So we're going to get into a lot of talk about that later on in the week as we start to preview that for the end of the month. But up next is Fan Cam Assembly. And yeah, I feel like this was really directed at a section of Twitter that makes SNL fan cams. Is that just me? But here's JAJ opens up introducing the assembly about student technology use. And Pedro is our assembly king, and he comes out as the teacher. We have Bowen, Sarah, Devin, and Ego as students, and Molly eventually comes in as Lady Lunch Paulina. We also get a cameo appearance by Sarah Paulson, longtime friend of Pedro Pascal, as Miss Jenny. But basically, this is a lot of talk about, don't make fun of the school staff. Why are you doing this? But like, the coolest part of this whole thing, there was some really fun Easter eggs, but like the real coolest part was like using Big Boys, like the music video that Punky Johnson and Vanessa Jackson wrote during the Keke Palmer episode as the song of the TikToks. Like how fun was that? But obviously a lot of the lines, skinny legend, your foot is always on our necks. A lot of interesting stuff here from Fan Cam Assembly. So Amanda, what do you think of it?
Okay. This was my favorite sketch of the night. I was screaming. It was so good. It was so good. And yes, this felt like they knew who was going to be in the room. They knew who this was for. They knew who was tuning in. This was like, this is going to be all over TikTok tomorrow. They're going to cut this into a fan cam, and I love that.
I think it's already up. I think they already took the fan cams and posted them.
I'm fairly, yes. It's
completely missing the point.
I thought it was so good. I thought it was a sleigh. I thought it was Mother. I thought it was House of Bamboo. Like it was that girl. Came to the party. It ate. It had left no crumbs. Like this was, like girl. And this is literally also how I talk. And I'm like, is that what I sound like?
Amanda, that's what you sound like.
But it's giving like it's Christmas, okay? It's giving. And this sketch was giving. And I always say,
but this sketch is making fun of you, Amanda. That's the point of it.
And I have a sense of humor about myself. Come on.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying, like that was obviously. I feel the comedic heft of this was.
Like, come on, like bestie, let's do this. Like it's.
All right. Can I try my? You're done, Amanda? Did you get everything you want to say about this?
I'm done. I loved it.
Okay. All right. Let me try Amanda speak for my transition. So this was Andrew. This was giving Easter egg. I don't know if you noticed, but Hurley Boy was the name of one of the accounts for the TikToks. So
was it? Very nice.
Yeah.
So does that mean the Hurley Boy helped write this? Do we have the writing credit on this?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's not PDD. It's actually Yim, Nordwind, DiCenzo, and Ward for this one.
Okay, interesting. I'm really liking how the writing rundowns are becoming very eclectic as well. I loved this, and I really this one. Two thoughts. This one feels like Gen Z Hospital from the Elon Musk episode done right. This
okay,
one,
I don't know. That was a trip. You just took me on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And two, I just loved that the fact that the audience was so whipped up in the exact frenzy that the sketch was making fun of. And thus it kind of reminds me of the Try Guys sketch from earlier in the season, where it is making fun of that audience. And while the Try Guys sketch, everybody got butthurt about that and they didn't understand. At least, somebody like Amanda can kind of step back and enjoy the ridiculousness of it all. And so, yeah,
I learned some new phrases, y'all. Like I fully like I've been saying lately, like, hey, this is giving me woman. And so now
I think some of it had to be made up.
Done.
Yeah. And so I enjoyed it because a lot of that vernacular, I read it online and just go, what in the hell are you people talking about? Say a normal sentence. And then, Andrew,
so when Ego was like, lock us down forever
for 3 years, and now we're online forever. And I was like, yeah, that's basically it, I guess. So I thought, this was a pretty heavy win for me. I took a lot of wild swings at what?
I got one question for you about this. Was Pedro Pascal the right host for this sketch?
Yes.
In your opinion?
Oh yeah, okay. Because the whole audience was horny for him. So of course he was. Yeah. That was again the whole the crowd going nuts over the fan cams.
I saw a TikTok today of women eroticizing him grabbing a chair arm.
Yeah.
He was just seductively had his hand on a chair arm and they were zooming in on it.
And I think it's just because of the SNL connection, but I never I'm not in the Pedro Pascal Twitterverse, but I saw so much of that creeping into my feed this week, and it was just like, look at him move his arm.
Look at him exist.
Daddy.
Look at him
Big daddy. He's giving daddy. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, Jesus, calm down.
Please upload
I'm
that
sorry.
on our out of context account. But you know, the my question the reason I asked that question was because the sketch for me only works on the belief alone that Pedro Pascal does not understand how this works. Right? Like you compare this to the Try Guys sketch. That sketch works because Brendan Gleeson does not understand what the Try Guys are. Okay, you have to.
No, he knew exactly. He knew everything about.
Yeah,
the Try Guys.
No, you're right. You're right.
That was
yes,
the community
that was what's funny.
that one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I think for this particular sketch, you really have to believe that the teacher does not understand the fan cams, and I think that is what works there. Yeah.
I do, also
and he's
have to
disturbed by it. You know, it's like
exactly.
he's being disturbed by it all.
This is not an uncommon. This has already been done. AP Bio in the season 3. This is an episode that they did where the students were writing fan fiction about Glenn Howerton and Patton Oswalt. Like, this is somebody at SNL literally, it was like, Mike O'Brien, I see you, dude, like, and got them. So it's been done before. It's even in history, there are authors who very much wrote fan fiction about their professors and turned them into very famous novels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So overall,
All right,
I really enjoyed it. Strong sketch.
Good. Let's head over to the Wing Pit, which is our second pre-tape of the night, where Heidi brings wings to the Super Bowl party of Pedro, Molly, Keenan, and Longfellow. And basically, like, this to me was sort of like Kickspit Underground Rock Festival of the Super Bowl, where it's like, bam, you know, like things are just gonna get kind of crazier. Oh, we are just missing some Ass Dan in here, but you know, besides that, I mean, it just escalates. You get like 3,000 wings, the chicken carnage platter. The Wing Pit ends up owning the police. There's the cement shoot. It's really just
celery you've ever seen.
It's nuts. Andrew, what do you think of it?
It was pretty good. A little bit, you know, it's like kind of unmemorable. You know, I kind of forgot that it was in here. But now thinking back upon it, I mean, I did get some good laughs, good escalate. I mean, just crazy escalation throughout it, to the point where we're at 5,000 wings and dumping ranch from an airplane. So it got there for me for sure. But you know, like, does it meet the level of, like, say, the Totino's trilogy? Maybe not, and maybe not even the Kickspit pre-tapes, but yeah, Molly getting smacked by the bag of wings. Yeah, it was all pretty good. I got some good chuckles out of it. Good, just again following out of the last sketch into this. Good energy, good laughs. I enjoyed it.
Amanda, what'd you think?
This is our obligatory pre-Super Bowl, like, we have to touch on Super Bowl commercial culture sketch, and I enjoyed it. Did I remember it until the very moment you talked about it, not even 5 minutes ago? No, I did not. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Like, you know, it was just a straightforward, to me, just it escalated in the perfect way, in the way that it should have. I think that there was something deeper about the police owning the wing, or them owning the wing people, because Popeyes just made a donation to, like, a big police department, and it's a whole controversy. So there's that. But like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And also, whoever at craft services had to get all those chicken wings, I hope they had a really great day of filming. Like, wow, I really wish I was there.
Yeah,
right,
maybe that's why this
something
episode was so good. Everybody is full of wings all week.
Full of chicken wings.
There's
What
full
a
of
great
chicken
way
wings.
to be. And you know, they had a flats versus drums debate. You know, the big screaming.
Team drums.
Team flats.
Well,
Ooh. All right.
all
John?
right. Well, I don't eat chicken wings, so it's not. I can't get into this debate. But the sketch I did enjoy. But apparently in dress here, I'm going to give you a little I would like to get from the two of you on it, if this makes the sketch better or the sketch worse. Apparently, in dress, at the end of the wings ad, they revealed that it was an attack ad against chicken wings by the National Jalapeno Poppers. Does that change? They took that off apparently for live. Does it change anything for you?
Unnecessary. Yeah.
Oh,
too many
yeah,
unnecessary
no.
tags on SNL sketches for sure. And so
They took it off.
yeah, I'm
So
glad. I'm glad
no
actually
longer
they're
canon.
starting to cut.
It's
Yeah,
smart.
starting to cut those. Yeah, good. Yeah,
Yep, no
absolutely.
longer canon. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about Coldplay. So this is Chris Martin's 8th time performing as musical guest. He did so as an extra time, in addition to Coldplay during one of the at-home shows, and then the 7th appearance for Coldplay on the show. And they are a friend of the show for many, many years. Performed more than twice. Chris Martin's been in a bunch of sketches as well. Amanda, are you a Coldplay person? What do you think of tonight?
I love Chris Martin. I love Coldplay. I like like it's one of those things people are actually genuinely shocked. I think I thought tonight both of these performances, but like these were beautiful. Beautiful. And it put me in a great mood. And it was just, it was like he's not here trying to do anything new. He's like, I wrote this song with a very famous person. I'm gonna sing this with the choir. And I'm like, okay, great, settle in. Like I'm never gonna be mad about it. Loved it. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, and Andrew, we got our second performance of Fix You on the show. The last time was in 2005. So what do you think of Coldplay tonight?
I could take or leave Coldplay. I really love Parachutes. That's a great album. Rush of the Blood to the Head was like lesser than, and then I kind of fell off. And so that's kind of where I've always been up to this point. With Coldplay, feeling kind of salty about these performances because I saw the alien head guy and I was like, that's goofy. I'm going to put that on Twitter. And then everybody's like, you're ableist because they're doing sign language and you're canceled. And I was like, well, good night. And so that was my journey.
All right. Well, we all learned something new tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Fix You is one of my favorite songs of all time. I just have to say, like
if they were going to
usually
do
I'll
a deep
cry.
cut, I wanted something from Parachute. I wanted like Trouble or something, just like I wanted
Ooh.
something like, go all the way back then.
Right.
Don't do the song you've already played.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is just a comment for
You
all of
know?
our Canadian listeners out there. But I live in Montreal. Montreal Canadiens, a great hockey team, the most winningest hockey team of all time. They would come out onto the ice to Fix You for many years. It's a very it gives you chills if you ever go to a hockey game in Montreal. So that is a special song in Montreal. All right, let's go to a weekend update where we get this time we get Marcelo cut from Weekend Update. So for those wondering, it was the same thing that he was cut last week from. So he was going to talk about jobs that he's had in his life. He was cut, but we do get 2 other correspondents. We also get some rookies on Update, and let's start with Norm Macdonald as Punxsutawney Phil. Oh no, sorry, that's Michael Longfellow, who's doing his best Norm impression in my opinion. But loved getting Michael back out there this time in character, basically as an excuse to do a stand-up set as Punxsutawney Phil. Andrew, how do you feel about Longfellow tonight?
I absolutely love this. I'm so in love with Michael Longfellow. Like he is far and away my favorite of the newbies, and I love them all. They're all great. But I wouldn't even, and then Rudy kind of points out, I wouldn't even say Norm Macdonald. It kind of felt Colin Quinn-ish in a way. Because and just I don't take notes for these, so it's all forgotten, but every single line was a banger, and just hitting the vape and then like, can I do a bump? And Michael's like, no, and he's like, yeah, for the after party. All right. Like it just so confident. How is this man so confident 12 episodes into his run? It's insane. And I thought this was a grand, like every single time it's grand slam. Loving Longfellow.
Yeah. I mean, Amanda, we had such a debate on the roundtable on Monday about if SNL needs to have an alpha in the cast, like if they're missing an alpha for sketches and stuff like this. So many times we've been talking about this because, but then he comes out and he just has so much confidence and he's just a rookie, but like, how can you do that? And then it's so impressive. I'm so utterly impressed with Michael Longfellow. How do you feel about what you saw from him tonight?
I don't think the audience got this. Personally, I don't think the audience got it. I think it fell a little flat because I think anti-comedy, especially in the Michael Longfellow kind of way, is not really Weekend Update friendly in my but that doesn't mean, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it was so funny, and I think it was a way to remind people that like, yeah, it's weird that we're still doing this recurring thing where we like ask a groundhog like to predict the weather. It's like, who gave you permission? Why do we name you? Why? I would never, it's like being the queen bee. Would never want to have that on my shoulders. But I think this was a way of just being jaded and being like, again, the world is melting, the world is burning, and we should be paying attention, and not really having parades about a groundhog. And I liked it. I thought it was good. And I'm really excited to see where he's going, because I think everyone around him knows too.
Yeah, I just think the best thing about Michael Longfellow is just like, his stand-up or his pieces just make you really want to rewatch them, because you always feel like you're missing a joke that's like smarter than what you're taking in the first time. Like, he has that ability about him. You're just watching him and it's just like line to line to line, and like the way, the beats, the rhythm, the way he's talking, it's all like artful. And it's something that
he has beats that are unfamiliar to many years of SNL.
Right. So I like, and I'm so thankful for it, because it feels so fresh, right? Like, it just like,
he has a different rhythm. His rhythm is different. It's not offbeat, but it's a different rhythm than we've seen.
And I know some people are really not digging it hard, but it's like, he seems so divisive, because either you're so on board or you were very much not right now. And I just hope that the people, not can come over, can see the truth, see the light, because I'm loving them.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to see more from Mikey Longs. And then we get JAJ and Devin as two British rappers known as Millie Pounds and Shirty, rapping about their being allergic to dairy and Prince Harry, and with their little tiny knives. And oh my God, thank God for this, right? I mean, JAJ as doing a character. How fun was that? Amanda, what do you think about our two British rappers, JAJ and Devin?
I've never had a bigger crush on JJ in my entire life. I fully admit it. Ooh. I was into it. Like, I was like that with that jacket. I was like, okay, dude. Like, let's see. I thought this was I was screaming the entire time. It was the funniest thing. I don't even know. It was so good. It was so stupid. And it was so dumb. And again, a pairing I don't think we would ever have seen on this show in previous years. I don't like, but it's like, but that is what British rappers look like. It is like one skinny white dude and like a guy who looks like Devin Walker.
And then the black guy.
and it was giving me the Streets and Stormzy,
Yes.
And I thought this was, I think the audience really loved this too, going back to that, especially in comparison to what we just saw. And and also, I can't eat dairy, so I really spoke to me too.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, this has been like one of the biggest storylines coming out of 2021 into 2022 was like, what's the deal with JJ? Like, is this not going to be a good second season, or is it going to be an okay second season and not match the highs of the first one? But these last 3 episodes have been unbelievable for James Austin Johnson. So great, like completely redeemed everything I was thinking for the second season of his, and just is so great that he gets to play a character on the show that's not an impression, but like a character that can recur. Like, I would definitely enjoy seeing this again. Like, this was so fun. And Andrew, what do you think of it?
And I will also just echo that. I mean, I felt like, entering the break, it was a bit unsure of like, well, what is the show doing with Devin? Who is Devin? What does Devin do? And the last 3 episodes have kind of like, oh, that's what Devin does. Now we're getting it. And I felt like this one, and also the cut sketch from last week was also very good. That was written by him, anchored by him. Devin's really good. And I felt like this one really came together. Like, you could kind of see how this, like, I think James already had the accent and that character. And then Devin really, like, Devin couldn't ever hit the accent until he was rapping. And I felt like, it's like, okay, so Devin's really into UK rap. And so, like, he can only get it when he's doing the rapping. But James is the only one who could do it while speaking. And so, like, it came together in the best way a team could. and all the little stuff, and the dairy allergy coming back over and over again. Big win. The correspondents were such huge pops in what was mostly a white noise update for me. So yeah, just great stuff. Loved it. Might have been the best of the night. I don't know.
I actually
When
wonder
was
if
the
we got our
last
cat.
time? When was the last time we had an all male weekend update?
Oh, I don't even.
I would have to get back to you on that. I can tell you that the
Yes.
last time that we had
That
3
can't be that long
featured
ago.
Well, the last time we had 3 featured players on Weekend Update was November 4th, 2017, with Alex Moffat and Heidi Gardner in the Larry David episode. So that's courtesy of our friend Ellis, who brought me that. It's been a long time. So the fact, they're letting the young players play, absolutely love that. And I think we might have gotten our first real contender for catchphrase of the season with "I'm allergic to dairy." I think that might be it.
I'd love to have these characters.
I just like
yeah. This was a lot of fun. Okay, right after a Weekend Update, we get a sketch called Protective Mom. And here is our Please Don't Destroy and Ward sketch. So they teamed up together for this one, new writer, Ward, where we get Marcelo, who brings home Chloe, his girlfriend Brittany, to his mom, played by Pedro Pascal. And this was kind of fun for me. I mean, I loved the setup here. We get only 2 cast members with the host. Pedro Pascal, gets to play the mom. He gets to play a little bit of a different character, gets to stretch out the role. And basically, Pedro, as the mom, is disapproving of Chloe Feynman, talking about the vegan sliders and the fine art and all that stuff, and setting him up on ADD medication. But until she says she wants to say grace and realizes that she is a woman of God, that she finally approves. So, Amanda, what do you think of Protective Mom?
Pedro, he talked in the beginning about how or maybe it was in the monologue, he talked just about how he gets to play people of all walks of life on the racial spectrum. And so I'm glad tonight they really let him just continue that, because he was all of them. He was Italian later on in the episode. It was
yes,
good.
he was.
I liked this. I thought that this was just, there's somebody in a marriage on SNL who has a mom who's just like this, and I spent half of it trying to figure out who
maybe Marcelo was.
I was about to say that had to be a kernel from Marcelo.
Yeah, and I loved the translation part. That was, to me, was the most creative take they could have taken. It wasn't just the fact that it's like Chloe knew she was talking about her, but also it continued on and you could figure it out. It was a little absurd, and I mean that again, Pedro Pascal in a dress is gonna be all over my TikTok feed tomorrow.
Mine too.
Andrew, I mean, I think this was the ideal setup for a sketch that we want to see from SNL nowadays, where you get a new cast member with an interesting premise that we don't always tackle all the time. And it's quick lines. It's a tight sketch with limited players who are just presenting a scene that could happen any day. This could be anytime someone's bringing home their girlfriend and we get the disapproving mom. So how did you feel that SNL executed on Protective Mom?
I enjoyed it. A bit of a redemption for PPDDD for me this time around, because you get Pedro walking out and drag, and you go, oh, where's this gonna go? And it goes down to earth. It stays very grounded, and I was honestly shocked by that. And yeah, like you say, I mean, it kind of plays it out semi-realistically. Obviously punchlines in there as well, but I really appreciated where this one went, and right at the perfect time of the night as well. Like post update, that slot always feels weird. Sometimes that's where the worst sketch of the night goes sometimes, but I already feel like update already has so much wacky energy that they could then use this moment to kind of bring it down for a moment and kind of just do a scene. And as Amanda pointed out, the sort of the whole cultural back and forth in terms of what he's saying, and then what English speakers know what Chloe is getting out of it. Though it did seem like the audience itself knew quite a bit of Spanish because they were
Yes, it happened
laughing
in
at
the
jokes.
monologue too.
Yeah, they were laughing at jokes before they explained it out for Whitey. So it was interesting. Very good. Yeah, good. Thumbs up. Loved it. More of that, please.
Yeah, you heard that right. Andrew says more Chloe. So,
I
also,
really thought she acquitted herself well. It was actually not a
She did
bad episode for Chloe.
And I have one more point.
Yeah.
I appreciate when SNL puts men in dresses and the joke isn't LOL, his man is in a dress.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, holy wow, this is not the joke. This is not the end joke.
Yeah,
so
that is a fabulous point. So we'll leave it there. I really love the sketch as well. I thought this was really great, and I am excited to rewatch it again and dive into it during the week. I had a lot of great here. Okay, next up we have the Italian waiters sketch, where we have a dinner for the women: Heidi, Punky, Chloe, Ego, and Sarah, who are all very beautiful. But Sarah is the smart one, or the funny one, or she's the writer, as we hear from Pedro and Marcelo. And Keenan as Chef Dino, Mikey, and it comes in as a waiter also. And we just it's a fun bit where they're going person to person to person to person. And obviously, what are they going to say about Sarah here? For you, chili, as they drop it. And
Big
then
eventually,
yeah, exactly. And then it turns out that they're just doing this for the tips. It's their strategy to get tips. And of course, Sarah ends up going away and drives away on a Harley Davidson eating chili. So Andrew, what do you think of Italian waiters?
Well, this was excuse me. This was interesting because within the previous sketch, the one with Pedro and Marcelo and Chloe, in the Discord, we were kind of talking about how Marcelo kind of has this, and we're gonna dig deep into SNL nerdery here, but kind of reminds us of Tony Rosato from season 7, where he very much leaned into his ethnicity. Tony was Italian, and so Tony played a lot of Italians, and that was kind of his lane.
Just for anybody who doesn't know, by the way, this is season 7 of the show.
Yes. Also, the man that to connect it back to this episode voiced the cartoon version of Mario. So Tony Rosato, and so it was hilarious to then get a full-on Italian sketch with Pedro and Marcelo in it. And so that kind of Luigi, I'm sorry, Ruby. It was interesting. This one didn't really connect because I don't know. Sarah needed to be weirder here for it to work for me. I can understand, we already know that Sarah's the weird person of the group, but just in the construct of the sketch, it didn't really seem like she would have been the odd one out. Maybe that was the joke, I don't know. I did get kind of lost, but I did like the big boy chili. And then the reveal that it was all, this is what they do for tips. And I felt like the sketch could have ended there, and then they went one beat longer. And, so for super back half material, it was fine, but very forgettable.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things that I would have cut. I would have cropped to make this a little bit cleaner, and then we'll get Amanda's thoughts on it as well. One is, I don't know that we needed that end piece of almost like a Penelope style ending where we find out that she actually is driving a Harley Davidson and eating chili.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, because it sort of takes away from the fact that this is supposed to be reality. And then I don't know that we needed 4 other normals. 4 of the beautifuls.
And Punky had no lines. Punky was
Punky did. I think, but I believe Punky did in this sketch, but I don't know that we needed the 4 of them, because I think maybe it would have been a cleaner concept if it was perhaps 2 of them and then she was the 3rd, so it was tighter, and it was okay, why it would have emphasized her more in that case. But Amanda, I'm curious your thoughts on that and on the sketch itself.
Yeah, there were too many people on that screen. Too many people on that stage. This is a sketch that had an interesting premise and then lost it, and then at the end, like you said, it should have ended with the reveal and then ended there. The twist at the end almost unraveled the work they had done to get there.
what they did. Yeah,
it's like, oh, so like everything you said about her is true. So does that mean that she's also ugly? Like is that the like?
and
it's
Sarah's not ugly.
Like it was a weird message to conclude on, if that's the logical steps you're trying to make.
Yeah.
And also Sarah's not ugly. I'm just thrilled this wasn't one of the Black women, because that's kind of what has happened. But like I think that I just wanted it to be tighter and shorter, and I got the point after a while, and I was like, okay, cool. Like,
all right, well, let's
slamming
play
down
the
the big boy
experiments.
chili. I did enjoy it though. That was a funny moment. Yeah,
that I did laugh at that. But let's play the experiment. And again, not to like judge everybody's looks, but let's say there was an I'm not saying there is, but let's say there was an ugly quote unquote female cast member that's typically not as seen as beautiful as all the others. Does that sketch work better when you put someone, no one in specific, but somebody in that chair who is naturally not as
no? Then it just feels mean.
Like it's even worse. Yeah. It's like it's this sketch on itself with that as the premise kind of can't work, in my opinion.
I mean, if they wanted, like, I'm just surprised they didn't. She didn't have makeup on. Like, why was this the one sketch that Sarah didn't have some sort of garish makeup on?
If they exaggerated it and pulled it out more, it would have.
Because with normal hair and no makeup on, Sarah looks like a normal, attractive woman. It's fine. Like, I don't get it.
Like,
all right, so because interesting to just examine. Yeah.
Like
go ahead. Sorry.
This stepped in weird politics that I think that they were trying to do something with. That I'm like,
cool.
No, I don't think this worked. In retrospect,
interesting. All right. For me, I may have liked it slightly more than the two of you, but I do think that there was stuff I would cut. This was written by Gates, Bula, and Sublette. So interesting. Sarah normally writes with Bula, so it would be interesting to see if she actually was involved.
Yeah, I'm sure she had a hand. And that just makes me more like in my head about also, like how she thinks about herself and stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing charming about a conventionally attractive woman making jokes that she's ugly.
No.
But like, or in general, like why is that funny?
No.
Like,
interesting. All right, well, let's there's no problem. All right, let's go on to Lisa from Temecula. So basically we leave the restaurant to go back to the restaurant. This was bizarre from just a production perspective. I would have split the two restaurant sketches a little bit further apart for me, because I found it jarring to then be like, are we not supposed to realize that we just saw a sketch in a restaurant? But yeah,
I did not, because my brain is flat. I did not realize we got two
restaurant sketch.
I fully.
This is so relatable. I love restaurants.
Yeah. All right.
I kind of was.
That's very funny. So this time though, we have Lisa from Temecula, which is a sketch that was written by Alex English, Gary Richardson, and Michael Che. And here we have this time at the table. I assume, like, let's say next day at the restaurant, we have Bowen and Molly, Pedro and Ego and Punky all at the table. This time, Ego is playing Lisa. We have Punky as Lisa's sister. Devin is the only waiter that we get to see in this sketch, and basically there's two games happening in this sketch if you didn't see it. One is Lisa's trying not to give up the butt tonight. There's a lot of talks about the butt that we get into. And then the second game of the sketch is Ego's cutting her steak, but there's literally must be people like extras or whoever is there, writers, crew, whoever, under the table, shaking the entire table. So you're basically forcing the cast to break as wine and food is being spilled everywhere. So it's a physical sketch, but then there's also some weird writing of like, why is Lisa upset at the rest of the people? So anyways, it's an interesting thing. Amanda, can I get your thoughts first on this? What were your thoughts on Lisa from Temecula?
Okay, I loved this. I think that this will age so beautifully in a very specific way. I think Lisa from Temecula might be Ego's Debbie Downer. Like this, it was because I think the general premise is the reason the table was shaking is that she ordered her steak so well done that like you have to hack through it. That's the joke. The joke is that people who order well done steaks can be annoying like sometimes.
They're the worst.
Yeah, like there's Art Eater did a beautiful story a few years ago about like what it actually means to order a well done steak and like actually all of that stuff. But like, and I'm not shaming people who do it. I'm not, go ahead, don't yell at me in the comments. But like it's like the very like assume like presumptive, entitled, already can predict the future of results and expects it to be bad kind of person. We all know that kind of person. And we also know their sister. We know their sister, and their sister has spent their entire life managing them and enabling them and telling, like, we know that dynamic I think is so good, so funny. I mean, I love an SNL break. I love an SNL break. I love it when the actors like remind us, like, we're all human, LOL. And physical comedy, the physical comedy of just the jerking of the table. It was all a perfect trifecta of a weird cultural microcosm thought and physical comedy and a relatable, we know this person is real. And I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Andrew, how do you feel about it?
Slightly baffled on this one as well. I do enjoy the whole physicality of it. I do kind of wonder if this one would have been better slotted up top somewhere, maybe in the hospital sketch placement. I would enjoy this one a lot more. But at this point of the night, I felt like the energy was kind of trending in a slightly more mellower pace. So to just have this outright chaos at the end was kind of like, I'm not cued into this energy. I just watched choir Coldplay go on, and oh my god, here we are now. I did enjoy, like, the Punky as the sister. I really, there are beats within the characters that I enjoyed, but a lot of it was just like, I don't know, the breaking did kind of get to me of just like, has Bowen never seen that? Like, was he not in the sketch originally? Like, has he never heard these lines, or has this never happened to him before? Like, it did seem kind of a bit too much. We're having fun here. And kind of vamping to the end a little bit, but I can't be too mad at it because it was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Not much there, like a well done steak. Not much there.
But that's my problem with this sketch, though.
Kind of tough to cut into. And I was just focused on that giant jug of tea in front of Punky. That was all I was focused on. And I was like, is there a magnet there? How is that not tipped over? That has to, like, and it's like, so I was so focused on that. That it was too chaotic. Almost too chaotic in an era of SNL where I'm like, please go as chaotic as you can. So
I didn't mind the chaos. I think that was fun for me, but I think that where you're talking about the back and forth between Pedro and Ego, I think here was really interesting because before we get to the steak and the cutting of it, there's a full like minute of this sketch where there's like this passive aggressive tone between Pedro and Ego here that there was no payoff on. And that I think was weird to me because I think Pedro was trying to figure out like why does Ego feel this way about Pedro, and we like why, like there was just like this interesting dynamic that I feel like was not sort of like
well in real time I was being called ableist online, so I kind of lost the start of this one.
Well, yeah, but I think
I thought that was going to go somewhere further, but I think that was world building, character building. It didn't need, but it should have been.
It did feel like it did get chopped down.
Yeah,
there was some chunk missing to this.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It was like too raw. But this, tonight we had a couple cut sketches. One called "Family Meeting." This was a Bula and Sherman sketch. Then one called "Message from Florida," written by Gates, Sublette, Tucker, Jackson, White, and Patton. 6 writers on that sketch. So
wow,
we'll find out
Jesus.
more about those. And
Was
talk
that
about them.
supposed to be the cold open?
No, that was cut at dress. Actually, that was another sketch throughout the night. But and then Marcelo obviously cut at a weekend update tonight. A little bit of a shorter rundown this week than we normally get. Interesting thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously wrapping up this run here, and the way we finish up our podcast on the Hot Take Show is we rate these episodes out of 10. So Andrew and Amanda, think about what you want to rate this episode. We talked about a lot of really fun sketches tonight. Some were really good. Some were okay, maybe different, maybe could have been a little bit different, but overall, Pedro was very game. And then chat, I want to see your ratings out of 10 as well. We'll put them up on screen. So Andrew Dick, I will start with you.
Well, I would say, like, man, it always feels like when I grade it on 10, it feels a little bit too generous, more generous than I want it to be. So I grade it on a 5. It would be a 3.5 out of 5. Thus, that is a 7 out of 10 on your scale, which seems just a tad generous. But overall, I mean, it's hard to get mad at this episode. Like, one clunker, a couple bits of bafflement, but overall, pretty damn strong. So 7 out of 10 seems pretty strong, or it seems, reasonable for me. But, again, the show just really in a good place right now. I love it.
Amanda, what about you?
I agree. Yeah, I would give it a 7 out of 10. That 7 being bolstered by just how game it seemed that the cast was today, and how game and how much fun Pedro Pascal was having. He was living, he was thriving, he was happy.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, you're seeing somebody's one of their lifelong dreams come true, and they are enjoying themselves. And there's nothing more than I love than watching that. And so yeah, I would say a solid a 7, a 7 for sure.
Absolutely. 7s across the board here. Same for me. I really felt like this was a very good episode of Saturday Night Live. And now that we're on this, run of 5 or 6 good episodes, for me, the standard's going to go up. I mean, that's what happens when you watch this. I compare every episode to every other episode, right? In the history of SNL, almost 950 episodes of this show, I start to think about these ratings in terms of like all time. Is this a 7 out of 10 episode? And now we're starting to look into this new era of the show as like, hey, we're producing some pretty good SNL. So we'll see, can the next 9 episodes I don't know how many episodes of the season, but wherever we get to, it's late. But the remaining episodes of this season, can they match up to the vibes that we're getting over the last 5 or 6? So that'll be something to watch as we continue to go forward.
I just hope I love the Woody Harrelson episodes. The last one they did with him was a real bummer. So if they can pull out a good one for Woody Harrelson and Jack White, that really hit
it's
me
the 5-timer one. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Here's hoping. All right. Well, what a great night. Let's talk about what's coming up here on the Saturday Night Network. So 3 more podcasts to get you through the Pedro Pascal and Coldplay episode of Saturday Night Live. On Monday night, we have our roundtable where I will be live on Monday at 8 p.m. with 3 very special guests to talk through the sketches that we want to talk about from this week of Saturday Night Live. On Wednesday, I will be live with Mike Murray breaking down all the stats from this week and talk about these first 3 episodes and really diving into what statistics you need to know about this episode of SNL. And then Thursday, I will be live with a great patron to wrap up the week, answer questions about this episode, and talk all about that Woody Harrelson episode coming up. So that'll be great. And then the following Monday after that, obviously we won't be live with the Hot Take Show next week, but the following Monday will be our next show. It'll be the night before Valentine's Day. And we're going to try something a little special. It's the first time that we're really doing a show that is sort of not really SNL, sort of like SNL. Like we'll incorporate a little bit of SNL into it, but we're going to do a relationship advice show. So if you have relationship questions
What?
and you want some of your Saturday Night Network personalities to give out some relationship advice, you can send those in. We're going to put out a form late next
Amanda
week.
is ready.
Amanda's
ready.
So far I got TJ booked for that show. I got Rebecca
Oh,
booked for that
God, Amanda,
show.
yes, let's go.
Yeah, it's gonna be Amanda. If you want to do it, you can do it.
If it wasn't literally Fashion Week, I truly would be 100% on board. But like,
well, we're gonna have some fun. Like maybe you were sitting somewhere. Yeah,
I'll come
maybe
in.
you were
I'll
sitting
call
somewhere
in.
watching in. You call in, please, in Studio 8H, and you saw someone you liked, and you need some advice how to pick them up. Well, we're gonna give you that advice.
How do
on
I
February
use
13th.
this podcast as my own personal dating app? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, send in your questions, Amanda. So that is what's coming up here. You can always find everything we're doing at the SNL Network on all social platforms and the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. All right, Andrew Dick, where can the listeners check out everything you got going on?
Oh my God, you can find me at my own podcast, That Week in SNL. We're talking vintage episodes of SNL. We just did the Sarah Michelle Gellar Portishead episode. We're going to be talking about the infamous season 5 Chevy Chase, Marianne Faithfull episode next week. The season continues. John is there sometimes, but not always. And if you liked my babbling here, you're gonna love it there. That Week in SNL. Check it out.
Absolutely, Amanda. Where can everybody check out what you got going on?
I'm so happy. This is the best. I'm so tired. So if I get this all wrong, don't come at me in the comments. You can read my work over at my job at Refinery29. And if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Loch Ness Manda, right there in your little screen, like a scary Scottish monster. And that's it for right now. Your girl's busy. So yay.
So proud of you, Amanda. Obviously love everything you're doing, so make sure to check all of that out. Thanks to Andrew and Amanda for joining us on this late night as we wrapped up our 3rd week in a row of Saturday Night Live. Thanks to everybody in the chat for staying up late with us. My name is Jon Schneider from the Saturday Night Network. We will see you next time, everybody.